Hello, everybody watching out on the Facebook page. I am Puffin Perswani, and I am proud to welcome you to the first ever University of Baltimore Facebook live stream, specifically in Ask Me Anything. And so we are just thrilled to be here. The whole purpose of this is to continue to answer questions during your first week. Obviously, orientation just happened, and we are thrilled that everyone has had a great welcome, and so we just want to continue on. We realize that it's Friday, and so more questions may have come up, and so our goal is to answer as many as we can. And so I'm going to start by going ahead and having folks introduce themselves around the panel. I'll start us off. Like I said, my name is Puffin Perswani. I am the coordinator of transition programs, and I'm going to ask that everybody also share a surprising fact. And so my surprising fact is that even though I have a master's degree and I'm like well educated, I also have a love of professional wrestling, and so that's my thing that I take a break from the intellectual world with. So that's my surprising fact, and I'm going to turn it over to Tisha over here.
Awesome. Hey everybody, I'm Tisha. My major is Community Studies and Civic Engagement here. I'm a senior, and I'm also orientation leader. My surprise fact, I'm obsessed with Grey's Anatomy. So there you go.
It's true.
It's very true.
Hello, I am Katana. I am a first-year graduate student, and my major is Legal and Ethical Studies. And my surprising fact would be I eat crabs as often as I possibly can, and I'm obsessed with anything that has a crab on it. So if you see anything with crabs on it, feel free to pick it up for me.
That's an interesting note. Is there an event coming up with crabs on campus?
Yes, the Crab Feast, September the 29th, Gordon Plaza.
3 to 7 p.m. Tickets only $10 for students, $20 for guests, and you can bring one guest.
Yes,
Yeah,
come join me.
That's being sponsored by SEB and the Student Government Association, so please check it out. If you want to take it over.
Thanks. Hi, I'm Dr. Fiona Glade. I'm the Assistant Provost for Undergraduate Studies and Academic Affairs. I've been at University of Baltimore for about 3 years now. My surprising fact is that I didn't start college until I was in my 30s.
Ooh, nice.
Excellent. So just to give everybody watching a bit more information, so the goal of this is to be as interactive as possible, and so we have some pre-prepared questions in case things are slow starting, but we really want to be interacting with you, so we really encourage you to be posting questions that we can be answering as we're going on. I also want to just let you know that there are two people behind the camera, so to speak. Anthony Butler, the Director of Transition Programs and Transitions and Community Engagement, as well as Christine, one of our great student leaders, are behind the screen. They're going to be answering questions and posting helpful links as questions come in, as well as just helping us. So please take advantage of this opportunity. And so to start us off, we do have some pre-planned questions. So,
Comment?
oh, we have a comment.
Really? Comment? I don't know. We'll see.
I think it might have been Anthony. So we'll keep going though. There you go. So, question to the students: where are computer labs on campus, and specifically, maybe what are your favorite computer labs to utilize on campus? Because I think that there's always ones that are like little nooks and good places.
So my favorite computer lab is in the academic center. By the Veterans Center, so by like the brochures and records and registration. That lounge is the best to study in, especially at night or like in between classes. It's rarely ever filled. It's my favorite, and it's green, and I like color, so it works.
Oh, it is green.
So I like it, and it has vending machines.
And it has an ATM machine, because I didn't know about the ATM machine until like my third semester, and I'm running up and down Charles Street.
Right.
So there's an ATM machine there as well. My favorite one would probably be the CEA. That's the Center for Educational Access. They also have a computer lab for registered students with disability. You're allowed to use that. So I tend to hang out in there a lot. And then, of course, there's the student center as well.
The student second floor. The students in the second floor computer lab. That was just placed there. It's small, but it's nice because not a lot of people can fit in there. So, and everyone has a printer. So. Another one is the business center, which we're now on a lower level, and it's where the Office of Technology Services is as well. So you can rent out a laptop or have, if you need help with your password, you can get help there too. So that's an all-in-one computer lab.
And also, if you are a honor student with Helen P. Dennett, they also have a study lab as well with computers to use, and that is across from CEA and academic. I think it's 138. I don't know. I have to make sure, but that is the Helen P. Dennett. And they also have a lounge for computers.
So you hit on a couple of things I want to kind of jump around. One being particularly the honors program you just mentioned recently moved, and so you were able to mention that it's in a new location. That's a temporary location, but we want to make sure those folks know where to go.
Right.
Number two, Tisha, you mentioned the second floor of the Student Center, and so there's also some exciting things going on the second floor. Would either of you be willing to talk about the food pantry that's going to be opening up soon?
Yeah.
Okay, well, we have a food pantry. It's going to be opening soon. We're going to start taking donations. I think, is it now? Or is it gonna be
Now.
now?
Donations are being
We're
accepted
taking
right now.
donations, and it's going to be something that students can use for anonymously. You can just walk in there and kind of, it's going to be like a shopping store type of thing. So it's not like you're going in there and just getting a box of random food. It's going to be things that you can pick up yourself.
Yes, and this food pantry has been in the works for a long
For a
time.
very long time.
And it's coming into light, so our students, the students on this campus, especially those who have served in SGA and those who have been supporting, we want to thank them all for their hard work because it was not easy. So if you can donate 5 canned goods or even more, or donate $5 now to Center Student Involvement on the 3rd floor of the Student Center, you can get a cool t-shirt. Also, it serves the staff and the students. No income guidelines or restrictions, and we also need volunteers to help work it and have fun. So you can see Anthony Butler in the Center of Student Involvement, or Christina Wirtz, who's awesome as well.
And Simone, who's our
Simone
AmeriCorps
also
who's really
AmeriCorps,
pushing
yes.
forward those
She's definitely-
pieces. So excellent there. And then the last piece, and I think you mentioned this, Katana, is where are some ATMs located on campus? You talked about one, but I think that there's another one, isn't there? Or am I wrong on that?
I feel like there is another one, but it's like a little ATM,
The little box.
but I don't know where.
I
I'm
thought
trying
we
to
seen
figure
it
out
in
where.
here. Remember we were trying to find it the other day
We were
when we
trying
were
to find
doing orientation leaders. We were trying to figure out where did we see that.
But I would
ATM
stick
machine?
to the ATM in the academic center,
Yes.
the CQ ATM.
Yep.
Secure.
No longer secret, but
Right. But also, before we move on to the next question, I want to let you know, don't forget about Langsdale Library. They have a lot of computers.
A lot.
So that's the main computer lab with Macs and PCs.
And the computer labs too are where you can go and use your B card to get free printing.
Yeah.
Right?
Yes.
So there's plenty of places for that to happen.
and you can print wireless. So if you have your laptop, you can also log into, I think it's your e-print. You have to follow all the login information, but you can also hook up to the printers in the different computer labs and use your
Right.
laptop and print as well. So it's not just the computers that you have to log into. Yeah.
So it's totally worth it.
So moving on to our next question, and this I think we can open up to everybody, is if I'm a student who's looking for housing options nearby, are there places I should go? What should I be considering?
I would consider your transportation first of all, because if you're not driving, of course you wouldn't want to go live somewhere far away from and trying to get to campus every day. But there's a lot of places to look. I would always start with housing, the housing office on UB campus, which is in the academic center as well. And I would also start with the roommate locator. I think it's on
Roommate connector.
Roommate Connector on in your portal.
Yes.
And then also you have Craigslist, the city paper, and things like that to also look
Right.
at for housing. There's plenty, but it's just riding around the neighborhood. Get yourself familiar with the neighborhood as well. You will always see for rent signs and a lot of the different
Right.
houses and the windows and stuff. So
And also, like in the academic center, there's a bulletin board like just
Oh, yeah.
for housing, so you can look and see the different options. Don't be afraid to ask questions because there are a lot of people just looking for someplace to live. But knowing like what's convenient for you, like do you want to pay for convenience or do you want to commute to school? So knowing your options and knowing your city, and there are lots of opportunities to get to know this city.
And one thing that I would really encourage, and I think you both kind of touched on it, is thinking about if you are going to be planning on taking public transportation, the routes themselves, because there's a lot of different options that are on maybe the Charm City Circulator's route, and so you won't have to travel as much if you're living on that route. And so just another thing to be considering as you're making those decisions. But you mentioned the housing office, which I think is a great resource, and they also have a link on the website as well where you can find information about local housing. And that roommate matcher is a fantastic option. As I have somebody who's worked in housing for a while, the more science that goes into that roommate matcher is just fascinating to see, and so it really will help you match up with someone who might be a good fit, so definitely check that out. So next up, and this is a personal favorite question of mine, is, if you're interested in a student organization, where can you find out about them?
Center of Student Involvement, 3rd floor on the Student Center. Everyone should get involved, okay? Just get involved. It makes your whole college experience amazing. So just go. You also can look on OrgSync, which is also in your portal. They have all the organizations listed on there. You can join and get more information. So, and they also have brochures on the Center of Student Involvement, aka CSI. So if you ever hear someone say CSI, that's Center of Student Involvement. That's a fun office. Everyone's like so hyper and amazing, and they have nice furniture too. So if you want to sit and know about the student organizations, you can go find it there. Anything you want to add?
I would jump on that
Yeah.
as well. I second everything that they've said. It's really a useful thing to get involved in student organizations. Although you might not think of this right away, it's actually a good way to make you gain some more of the kinds of skills that employers are looking for. Everything that you do, if you hold a position in a student organization or participate in some sort of volunteer activity such as alternative spring break, all of those are skills that you can add to your resume or your CV. And we talk at UB, we are really proud of the way that our graduates go on to become staff members in bajillions of local industries, organizations, businesses, and so on. And we know that the employers in those organizations are looking not just for the kinds of academic skills that our students get, but also for these other sort of social skills or leadership skills that they're gaining from participation in these organizations.
Totally agree.
So make time for it, because it's an important part of your education.
Not much to add to it, but I will say that there is an alumni sitting behind the camera over there, and so obviously that education does mean a great deal, and so take advantage of those opportunities and don't think that your learning is only going to happen in the classroom, because that would be a mistake. So we're going to take that student organization conversation one step further now, which is if you are interested in starting a student organization, you're really going to know about something that you're passionate at. Maybe there's something in high school or an organization that you're involved with and you don't see it on our campus. How do you go about starting one of those?
It is, 6 members to start, 3 board members, and 3 active members. And again, on OrgSync is where you will go to start the process. There's always emails coming out as well, saying if you want to start one. If you look, when you first log into UB, under the daily digest is also saying start a student org. There's always links there as well of how to start one.
And you need an advisor, and CSI will help you get an advisor, and also they'll also help you create a constitution to which your club will run by, because you need one of those to have an effective club or to get your club started. So CSI will help you with that process. But also before you start a student organization, I encourage you to look at other organizations and see how your skill set can help organizations that already are on campus. Yeah.
Okay, so that was really well answered. So moving on. Obviously, it's the first week of classes, and so things are starting to kick into full gear. And so if you are maybe experiencing some struggles in class or you're just looking for some help, where's a good place to go?
Where do you go?
For academic help, I definitely utilize the ALC Achievement Learning Center, which is on the 4th floor of the library. It moved from the AEC to the Learning Commons, 4th floor library. It's just, I love the peer tutor aspect, the workshops that they're accessible online as well, and especially personal experience just this week. My Writing 300 class is going to be rigorous, as my teacher said. So for me, writing research, I need help with that. So definitely going to the library as soon as I got my assignment, my syllabus, and saying, okay, I'm going to need a tutor for this class. I knew where I had to go. So the ALC is very helpful in regards to all my academic work. And I've definitely been able to keep a strong GPA because I utilized it.
That's really good.
Yeah.
We've done some research, and I know the ALC participates in this, that shows that the students who are most successful are often the students that have been to use the kinds of resources that the ALC provides. So at UB, we're not the kind of place where we say, this is only for people who have fallen behind and they're already struggling. We actually say, well, many of our students are much more proactive than that, and they stay up and they keep doing well because they're availing themselves of those kinds of free resources. So yeah, you're a great example of that, great model for that.
Thank you. What do you use the ALC?
I use the ALC. I ask other students for help. I do groups. I start getting phone numbers the first day of class and seeing who I can pair it with, email, you know, just network and just don't keep my mouth closed. I just always just ask for help, always around, you know. People are there to help. Professors are there to help. There's always that before and after class that they'll tell you to come see them. So that's also a good place to start, to just tell the professor, hey, you know, I need help with this assignment, or I really don't understand it. And then sometimes they will sit there and spend the time to help you with it and stuff like that. So pretty much the students, the ALC, just pretty much so many resources around here as far as getting help.
And I would definitely say librarians are your friends.
Oh, yes,
they are amazing. So they love helping you. Like if you ask them a question, they're like, oh, I know the perfect article, journal, book. Like they're full of knowledge, and they're just there. Like librarians are amazing.
They are.
So I love them.
I would echo too, go to your faculty office hours. They have office hours. They write them on your syllabus. And having been a professor myself, I know sometimes I sort of sat there and waited for my students to come, hoped they were going to come. But for myself, when I was an undergrad, it was somebody said, a tutor or someone said, go to faculty office hours, just get to know your faculty. And that way, if you do start to get behind again, they're there, they know you.
Exactly.
That's valuable time. If I wanted to go back later and ask someone for a letter of recommendation, then I know that professor knows who I am, right?
I totally agree
That's
with
all
that.
good. But for me, the first time I ever went to faculty office hours as an undergrad, that's actually one of the first places I found out, oh, if I want to get this job, I need to get this degree. And he was the one who helped me figure out, oh, I could go to graduate school. Right, like it opened up whole new things for me to ways for me to think about why I was getting my degree. And it was a conversation with a professor that actually launched that. So it was really helpful for me.
Right.
Yeah, there was a lot of really deep threads that kind of just happened there, so I want to jump around a little bit. No, that was great. I think Katana talking about group studying is one of the things that, and I'm just going to own it, I think our generation struggles with group studying because I think that there is more of a wanting to just I have to be able to figure out this myself, but the more engaging you can make your learning, the more involving of other folks and really still be focusing on learning, the better that you understand that material. And so taking advantage of that, I think that multiple folks talked about using your resources. I think one of the things that college should teach you, and if you leave here and we haven't taught you this, we failed, is that utilizing all of your resources means that you've taken every step to be successful. And if there are resources that are sitting on the table that maybe you haven't visited that could improve you, like that's a weakness. And so take advantage of the resources that are out there. And probably the most important one, and this is both from a kind of an academic side but also a personal one, is you kind of mentioned faculty members, but you talked about it in a very mentorship kind of way. Mentors are incredibly important, and I think that everybody who's on this panel probably has had at least one at this institution in multiple places, and so taking the time to find a mentor. And so I kind of want to, this is a question that maybe isn't like specific to UB, but I think is an important one for students to be thinking about is, how do you go about finding a mentor? How do you have that conversation? What are you thinking about? For me personally, one of the things that I learned was don't be scared to ask, and don't be scared to be asked. Don't be scared to ask somebody who you think is super successful.
Exactly.
Yes.
Like if you want to be somewhere and you can see somebody who is right in that position or has the skills or can help you along the way, just go up, introduce yourself, shake their hand, and say, "Hey, I want to know a little bit more about this." You will be surprised the number of people who will remember being on the other side of whatever success they've had. by all means, feel free to jump in on that.
I totally agree. So I want to become a coordinator of student activities at a college or university and work my way up to be like the director of student engagement or activities, whichever the office is called at that particular college or university. So it's important for me to get that experience and to get a mentor. So I asked my boss, who's the vice president of student affairs, Miss Sheila Higgs Burkhalter, because she's so successful in everything that she does. And in higher ed, there's so many avenues that you can go down as you get to work with students, you get to know from the admin side how it works. And I knew to be successful at it, I had to be around successful people. Everyone in the Center of Student Involvement, everyone in the Student Affairs Division here at UB has helped mold me into who I am. And I'm a transfer from Anne Arundel Community College, and there I had mentors as well, because you're always learning something. So, and I think that's so important. So if you have someone that you feel comfortable with, who you can learn from, like you said, don't be afraid to ask, because you never know what opportunities can come from that question. So.
I agree. I mean, I'm just honest. I look at people that, again, are in the positions that you want to be in, and they're the first ones to start with. Say, how did you get here? What steps did you take? You know, do you mind if I shadow you a day? I mean, you'd be surprised again how many people would just love that opportunity to give back to the students, because they were on that. They like Pepin said, it was once in that position as well.
Exactly.
So just to say, do you have a day I can shadow you, just to see what you do, to make sure it's something that I want to do.
Right.
You know, because again, that's where internships come in, and you'd be surprised at something you thought you want to do, and then you do it for it, and you're like, oh, maybe I'm not cut out for it. So it's a good place also to start to make sure, you know, it is something that you really want to do. So just, like you said, go up, ask them, shoot an email. There's so many ways of communication nowadays. There's really no reason not to ask somebody that you just look up to and admire to just say, hey, can you mentor me? Can you give me advice? Do you have an hour of your time? Just anything.
Right.
So at this point, we'll kind of jump back over to an academic question, which is more specifically, if you're having a problem with maybe a professor or another student in class, who's a good resource to be reaching out to? I have a feeling this might lean over to Fiona for an answer, but
That's a tough one. Well, we do have an Office of Community Life, where we have the Dean of
students.
Dean of Students,
Kathy Anderson.
Kathy Anderson, and her assistant dean, Christy Kuntz.
Yes, Christy.
And that office is really helpful in coming up with specific strategies or helping students to navigate specific processes, not just through formal channels if something needs to go that far, but also more informally, just again to put students in touch with resources that can help them through a particular thing. I would also suggest, though, if it's a subject that if it's something that a student is comfortable talking about, that they go to peers as well. If you've got some study buddies in a class and you want to sort of ask them how they've handled a certain thing, or ask them if they know about a resource on campus to help students navigate a certain thing. Of course, you can always go to a particular organization if it's an office that you're having difficulties with, and talk directly to the staff members there or the supervisor members there. With the academic side of things, if you're having difficulties, for example, if you've had an emergency and you're falling behind in a class, or you have some emergency reason you're not able to attend class, or you need to ask a professor for an extension on work because you want to try and stay in a class, those kinds of things, I would suggest that you go directly to your professor about. For me, again, when I'm teaching classes, I think I even say this on my syllabus, if you know that you've got something coming up, if you've got a change in your work schedule that's unavoidable, if you start to have family or health issues that are going to affect your attendance at UB, come to me sooner rather than later. Shoot me an email, call the office or call the advisor and leave a message with them, but try somehow to reach out to the professor, to get a message to the professor, just to let them know what's going on. And for me, once the student comes back, then we can work out what the student needs to do to stay in the class, or work out a way even, sometimes it's possible to request an incomplete if this happens right near the end of the semester. So there's ways to work it through, but usually it's not possible for an individual student to work out her or himself, right? You've got to go to the right place and make sure that you're using the right people. So the professors really are available to help people through those kinds of things. Emergencies happen for everyone. We understand that, and if that's getting in the way of your academic progress, then we want to be there to make sure that you can navigate that. Do you think that addresses the question?
Yes,
or the other
yeah.
pieces?
It does
And
address that
I think
question.
it also alludes to, and I think Katana put this perfectly in the other video we did for orientation, is that life happens at UB, and I think that as someone who's been at multiple institutions, UB does one of the best jobs of understanding that. And what Katana said so eloquently was, like, we care. Everybody at this institution cares. We know that life happens.
Very true.
And so taking advantage of talking to your faculty members or the Office of Community Life, specifically the Dean of Students, about the Compass program and supporting students as they're going through challenges. Ultimately, this experience at UB, whether it be 2, 4, 5, however many years it takes you, it is meant to be challenging in ways. And so when things are going on, if you need support, know that it's there, because ultimately, just like many of you walked into the Lyric to begin your UB experience, we want to see you walk into the Lyric and end your experience there too, with that degree, because it will open doors. It's knowledge that works, and I mean that.
That's very true.
And one of the things I like to say is my own little quote: if you can predict it, you can prevent it. So if there's any thought in your mind, again, you go to the professor that I may have problems with this class, that I know I struggle in reading, or I know that I have events coming up, or I know I have a child at home that may or may not get sick. If you just know these things, go to the professor the first day and, explain to them, I have a 2-year-old, I have a newborn that's going through newborn things, and just be aware that, there's a possibility I might have to miss class. You just let them know. If you're a person that gets sick a lot, you just let them know again that there's a possibility. What's the protocol if I do miss class, and just find out these things. Just don't not do anything. A lot of times the students just don't come to class. I mean, I say treat it like a job. The same way you would email your boss or whatever your communication is and say, I'm not coming to work today. Common courtesy is what a lot of professors like the most. And if you just say, hey, I'm not going to make it to class tonight, they feel like you took the time to let them know that, and they say that you're a student that really, really cares about your academics and care about your learning. So if there's anything that you think coming up, you don't drive in the snow and you're coming to school in the fall, already think about how am I going to deal with the situation when the snow's outside instead of just not coming to class that day. Again, talk to the professor. I don't drive in the snow. We're coming into fall, or the beginning of spring. What's going to happen? How do you handle class in the snow on the ground? Just if you can predict anything in your mind that might happen during the semester, just talk to your professor about it. Again, I'm always saying get phone numbers. I'm the networking person because there's been so many times that it's just a simple email to say, hey, what did I miss in class today? And you don't have to miss a beat because you missed a beat. There's always ways to pick it right back up and just keep it going. So your networking, your professors, and then emails. Email your professor, CC your dean, your advisor. Just say, I have this problem. How can we go about fixing it? And communication. They say lack of communication leads to a lack of understanding. So as long as you communicate, everybody should be there to understand what's going on.
I love that.
Queen of quotes. Queen of quotes. I love it. I love it.
The one other thing that you said that I think is really important for students, particularly who are coming in as first years, the transition, you mentioned the word syllabus. Mm-hmm. That is your roadmap to success in your course, and I think it differs a little bit from from high school. And so the syllabus, incredibly important that you keep track of it and you read it, because your professor basically outlines how you're going to be successful in that class, tells you what's coming when, and so obviously they're going to put it in their own language in terms of when we're going to be discussing things or when exams or assignments are coming up. But make sure if you're going to use a calendar, write it into your calendar. If you're going to use your phone, write it into your phone. But make sure you're utilizing that syllabus because it's incredibly important.
That planning is such a crucial part, like having a plan for snow days, having a backup if your vehicle doesn't work, and you might need to know that it's going to take you 2 hours by public transportation to get to campus if that needs to happen, right? If that's what your backup plan is. So have that stuff in place. Something that works really well for a lot of students is having a study buddy, I call it. Even if this isn't someone you're able to get together with frequently face-to-face, although there might be gaps between classes, or go up to the library after class to study together. You can also do that via email or through Sakai, the online portion of your class. Also, though, if there is a class meeting that you have to miss, that's the best person to email, first of all. Let your professor know that you won't be there, but you don't necessarily want to ask your professor to go through everything they already taught in class and go through that all with you again. So if you ask a couple of classmates what you missed, you're going to get a nice full picture of what they went over, ask to borrow their notes, that kind of thing, ask for updates to the syllabus. So that can be a really useful way of sort of taking care of your own business, right? Just sort of handling the situation yourself in the best way
And
you can.
one of my secret tips, I'm going to give you a secret tip for my studying.
I feel like we should have something flashing at the bottom of the
I know, like, this is my
Secret
secret
tip.
right here.
Right.
So, and also sometimes you just feel like I don't want to burden somebody or something. And technology is awesome. These I love your cell phone. So what I'll tell somebody is, hey, can you just snap a picture of the notes on the board and just send it to me? So, that way I'm not asking you to take a bunch of notes from me. If you did, great.
That's
but
brilliant.
at minimum, can you just hurry up and when the class is over, just snap a picture of the board, just send it to me, and if I don't understand what's written down there, I might come to you and just say, can you break it down? So, don't do it during class time, but definitely, with respect to the class rules and having phones out, so make sure you're respecting your professor's rules first and foremost. But once class is over, use the technology that we have. Snap that board, snap those notes sometimes, and that way you can come right back to it, and you have it right there in the professor's handwriting in their language, what just went on in class. So I always snap my little pictures.
That's brilliant.
And that's been my study guide throughout the school year, snapping boards.
Mhm. So we're going to jump back into a different question now, which is, if you're looking for a campus job, where's the best place to find them?
Oh, UB Works, Career Center, flyers on the billboards, up and down the stairs,
Yes.
networking, talking to people.
Yes. The Career Center is on the 3rd floor as well as the Student Center, and you can go there for mock interviews to help better your resume. And then UB Works, they provide jobs that you can apply for, and you can fill out your own profile on UB Works to see your skill set and your qualities, and if the job matches what you put on your profile, so definitely fill out your profile. It's like 98% that you can apply for that job. And internships and jobs. It's important to get an internship while in college, especially in your field, like Katan said earlier, because you might not know if that's the field for you unless you have on-the-job training. And with that, your advisors are going to help, your teachers are going to help, especially for the College of Public Affairs. Our dean is very good at just sending out emails of opportunities. So check with your deans, and UB Works and the Career Center will help you all within that internship experience, because that is that's going to propel you forward in this learning environment. So UB is very good with internships, and you also can look at the offices within the institution to get an internship as well. So, but the Career Center, make sure you go before senior year, so it's a lot easier.
That should have been another one of those moments where something flashed. The Career Center.
Before senior year,
Wow.
yes.
Career and Professional Development Center. Visit it as soon as you can. Don't wait till your senior year. The other thing about internships that I think is important to hit on is that's a great way to stand out on your resume after you graduate, particularly if you make them work for yourself. If you know you're going into a specific field and you know that there's an area that maybe is very hot, looking for internships within that particular focus. And also networking while you're there. So many students end up with jobs after they've interned at places because they were able to build relationships, be really reliable, and just impress people. So really take advantage of it and realize that that is really a step into where you want to be next. And so making sure that you really take it for its full advantage.
Yes.
I know the paid internships are the ones that everybody wants. That's sort of the dream internship. It's definitely worth signing up for a voluntary one, an unpaid one first. When the paid ones become available, the people with that volunteer internship experience are the ones who are more likely to get the paid opportunities, which are, they're more difficult to find.
Right.
Next up, a bit more, I think, of a simple question, but if I was looking to sign up for a parking plan, I keep hearing people talking about parking in garages. Where do I go, and what garages are offered on this campus?
So you can either park at the Maryland Garage, which is on Maryland Avenue, which is 2 blocks this way, south. There you go. And then we have the Fitzgerald Garage, where you also can park. If you don't have a parking plan, which we'll get to, it's $5 parking for students when you show your B card. So that's great, because normally $12. For the parking plan, however, I do have a parking plan. I went on the website, but I'm not sure of the website.
I'll research that one now. But I do want the Fitzgerald is the one that's by the bookstore.
Yes.
In case you're just wondering where that is, it's the one that's right across from the bookstore.
Exactly. And you can sign up. They have different plans. You want to sign up in the beginning of the semester. It's ubolt.edu/parking.
And what's going to happen is we have folks behind the camera who are about to post that in the comments as well.
Yes.
So you get your parking plans.
I know there's an unlimited one. There's one where you can pay for like a certain amount of parks. So there's all kinds of different parking plans. And again, knowing how many times you're going to be on campus. If you're only coming once a week, then it wouldn't make sense to get an unlimited parking pass. Maybe doing the per park or paying for a plan that maybe 30 parks or something like that. But if you have class 3 or 4 times a week, plus probably a position on campus, and unlimited would definitely be the one that you would want. So again, parking goes of course more catered to your needs and how often you're going to be on campus.
You need this.
Use your B card. And then there is parking around the streets, but be careful about the signs. Definitely, please read the signs. On Charles Street, no parking after 4 p.m. They will tow your car at 3:59 and 58 seconds. So definitely pay attention to the parking meters around. There are handicap parking in front of the Gordon Plaza, right where the post statue is. There's also a small parking lot on Morton Street, right behind the Academic Center for parking, for handicap parking. Then, of course, we have the light rail, we have the buses, we have the circulators that are free. One goes up, I'm not too sure the colors, like orange, purple, but one goes up towards... Purple goes up towards like 33rd Street, the Greenmount area. The other one goes downtown, more towards Ann Harbor. So you have that as well. There's one thing about, you have Penn Station. I mean, we are in the heart of transportation. There's no reason in this world you can never make it to class. I mean, buses, just everything. There's so many alternatives we're getting here, definitely.
And if you do commute, like I commute from Anne Arundel County or surrounding counties, just always park your car at that light rail station and get on the light rail. It's free. Well, the park is free, but then also if you are a commuter, we have $50 all access pass that you get at the bursar's office if you're registered for class for the MTA. So I take the light rail, and I'm going to show it because I just got mine today. So for September, you can get like your little all access pass. So then that's for your whole month. So yeah.
As a bus pass?
Yes. For $50, all you gotta do is show your B card.
And it's cheaper than with the normal. I think it was like $68,
yeah.
It's more. So you get a cheaper bus pass with UB.
So that's for light
rail,
metro, buses.
Yes.
It doesn't work for Mark though. Mark trains.
No. But Mark does have student discounts. Yes. So yeah.
Once again, taking advantage of those resources. There are two things that people hit on. One thing, we mentioned a bunch of different locations. I think oftentimes UB kind of forgets about Station North, and so that's a great area to go check out. There's a lot of great restaurants. It's a cultural hub, and so it's a wonderful area. I'm going to drop a plug in for Red Emma's because I'm a Presbyterian. They do great vegan food. And I think I'm actually going to lunch with Tisha there at some point. And you too can go to lunch with me if you want.
The Charles Theatre is like probably the best arts movie theatre in the Baltimore area. I mean, it has like DC quality arts.
So close to everything.
Yeah.
You know?
Great independent films as well. The other thing is, so Tisha flashed her B card. There was a recent policy change that I think it's important for us to just mention, is that if you're on campus, it's expected that you have your B card. Obviously, it's super helpful. It gives you access to some things. But it's also expected now that if you're a student, staff member, or faculty member, that you have your B card with you. So please just be aware of that. That being said, what are some of the benefits that come along with that B card?
So the B card can help you access your bookstore credit in the bookstore, at the Hive, in the Student Center, at the Barnes & Noble's Cafe. And also the restaurants down Charles Street, particular ones like Potbelly, you can go and win your bookstore credit, or if you have campus, turns into campus cash, or if you put money onto your B card, which you can do via on the website. You can use it at the Potbelly to scan and get your food. And also,
University Market?
Yes, University Market, and access to buildings. So after 8 p.m., you're going to need to access into the buildings and into the law school, which is open to 2 a.m.
And you need to put a gym as well.
Exactly.
So, and you can bring a guest to the gym, $5 per guest, two guests. So you also need your B card for that. I think there's a place called Zen to get your nails done, ladies' nails and toes done, which it comes over to Campus Cash, so you can use your B card for that as well.
But your student ID is important to identify who you are.
Yeah.
And this September, Chipotle is giving away free drinks if you have your student ID. So if that get your B card.
And where do you go to get one of those?
AC 111 is not.
No, 111 is council center.
It's
Well,
in
it's on
the
the
first
first
center
floor.
academic center. It has like 3 big signs that they like rotate all around, but don't do that. And it says stop, go right here, hello, and you can go get your B card right there.
You can't miss it. As soon as you walk
Yes.
in and pass the restroom, you're coming in where the ramp is from the
This just in, it's AC 105.
105. Yeah, you can't miss it. As soon as you come up from the ramp, it's right on your left hand side. You really can't miss it.
Yeah, and it's free.
That's
If you
right.
don't have your B card already, it is free to get your B card. $20 to replace it.
Yes.
Yes.
And if you stop in the office, as well as on their website, it has a list of the different discounts and different things you can take advantage of by having that UB card. And that's always updating. There's actually a place where you can make suggestions as a staff, student, or faculty member about the places that you visit. So definitely take advantage of that. It's a great thing that comes along with just having that card. So we mentioned money, and so you can't do a panel and not talk about money. So I think we're going to get into financial aid a little bit. And so, does anybody know when financial aid is dispersed?
September the 14th.
Oh, whoa, she knew.
Make sure, one of the things that's very important is make sure when you log into your My Student Center that your address is correct under for your permanent address and your, I think it says mailing address. It doesn't, whichever one you want the check to go to, put it that way, make sure that your address is correct, because once it is mailed out, there's a lot of work to cancel a check and have it reissued. So while it's still early, kind of just go in there and make sure that your address is correct. But it is September the 14th. And I know another secret. If you go to MarylandVendorPay.com, you have to register using your social security number. But on that portal, it will give you information about when to expect your refund check. So once you look into your student activity, the minute you see refund issued, it's going to say
Refund
activity. And it says refund again, Annapolis.
Yeah.
It's 10 days from that date, so that you can start looking around that time. So that's some general information about it, but again, you can check my vendor page. It's like another secret location,
Right.
you know, to know if it's been issued, if it's been, sometimes unfortunately life happens. Some people might have where it's been intercepted or things like that. You can find the information out so you just know. Of course, you also have the bursar's office, the main ones to go to talk to about anything. Financial aid to go talk to them about them. So.
Yeah, especially with financial aid work, study opportunities and scholarships. Never be afraid to just ask them
They're so helpful.
with your financial aid package or anything like that. They are here to help you, and if they can do it, they will do it. So don't be afraid to go to financial aid. They're going to help you if they can.
And they are also located on the AC first floor.
Yep.
correct?
Yes.
Yep.
And just to say, we're talking using languages that some freshmen may or may not know about when we say what financial aid disbursement. What that is any money that's left over after your tuition has been paid. So if you have grants and scholarships or loans, everything that's combined together from what you accepted comes in the amount of a refund check. So those are the kind of things that we're talking about right now, in case you didn't know as the newbies coming in what
Yes.
we're talking about as far as aids being dispersed. So anything that is left over after your tuition, your bookstore credit,
You get that.
and everything is paid for, that's what you get back in a refund check. You use it wisely.
Yeah, really.
Use it
And
wisely.
Moving
Yes.
forward to, if financial aid are a really good group to go and talk to,
Mhm.
if you get towards the end of the semester and you've had maybe some of those emergencies we talked about, and you need to drop classes
Mhm.
or not continue with your classes, do go talk to financial aid while you're making that decision, because sometimes you may need to pay back
Yes.
financial aid if you don't complete the semester, if you don't complete all your classes. So they can help you, they're there to help you navigate that decision. You can work with them and work with your advisor to make sure that you know what you're doing, to make sure that you make the most well-informed decisions.
Yes, definitely. And some people are not aware that financial aid does not pay for your summer and winter classes. So one thing to also consider, if you do get a refund check back and you are planning to take summer classes or you are planning to take winter classes, either A, leave some of that behind, and again, financial aid can talk to you more about how to leave money behind in your account to pay for your summer and winter classes, or plan accordingly to leave that money, put it up some kind of way so that way you can pay for a summer or winter classes if that's something that you would like to do. So that was something that students are not really aware about.
That's
But,
great advice, and that helps you get through to your graduation.
Yes,
hopefully,
definitely.
right?
Just get those extra
Yeah.
credits. And another thing is, was it 15 credits? 15 credits. I think your tuition automatically bills at 12. So anything that's over 12, if you can handle it, disclaimer, if you can handle it, that 5th class is included. 12 is what you get billed for, max. So 15, I don't want to kind of say free, but 15 you don't actually pay for that class. So if you can take 15 credits, which is 5 classes, if you can, disclaimer, if you can handle it, don't say Katana said do it. It's something also that I didn't know that I would have liked to know to have. I took a 5th class that would have been free basically, so it's a need to know, not a need to do. So just make sure you pay attention to that. And I'm sorry,
I love
I'm always
it.
supposed. And other thing that's important again, what you were saying about pay attention to your SAT score. That is very, very important. It lets you know whether you're on warning, if you're below, if you withdraw classes and you are not at completion rate. I think you have to have a 60 center above, don't quote me on that one, completion rate in order to receive financial aid. So each time you withdraw from a class or drop a class, that drops down your completion rate, and that will also affect your financial aid. So, and that is your SAP. If you log into your portal again and you look into your system, it says SAP, and you can click on there and they tell you if you're satisfied in satisfactory status, or if you're not, what percentage you are. And again, financial aid is there to answer all those questions as well.
So I'm going to transition us because there's a couple more questions I want to make sure we get to. But just one quick question. We talked a lot about financial aid. If you have questions specifically about your tuition bill, who should we be talking about with that?
Bursar's office.
And then with these other decisions too, don't forget to include your advisor,
Yes, your advisor.
your academic advisor in those to help you navigate those decisions, even how many credits to take, right, that kind of thing.
Mm-hmm. And that's also where your peers can come in as well in terms of folks who've maybe taken the additional credits. I think Katana made a great point, but I think the key is experiment first, and so take the 12 first, figure out if that's doable, and then if you feel like you can take on the challenge of that 5th class later on, then that's something to consider for future semesters, but don't just kind of drop yourself into the deep end.
Major key.
Right, because you've got to keep that GPA up as well, right? You need at least a 2.0 to keep your financial aid eligibility at an average. Maybe, you know, if one semester you're working fewer hours, you have fewer family commitments, that might be the semester to try that 15.
The best advice I ever got was it's much easier to start with your GPA high than have to try to raise it after a rough semester. So
True.
get it up as high as you can and then keep it there. It's much easier to do that. So we're talking a lot about the academic side of things. Obviously there's a need to kind of burn off steam. There's a need to have some fun. We talked a little bit about student activities, but is there a place if you want to work out or a rec center on campus, and what's kind of available there and where is it?
So the Campus Rec and Wellness Center is on the 3rd floor of the Academic Center. So if you go in on the ramp side, you take the elevator right on the first one on your right. It takes you right to the gym. You use your B card. Like you said, 2 guests, $5 each. But they have a cardio room, aerobics room, spinning room, golf, racquetball, personal workout room, the gym. Like the actual gym. Like basketball tournaments.
Competitive sports.
Yes, competitive sports. It's just so much you can do. A boxing room, which is awesome. Let off that steam. Yes. And a weight room as well.
That's another great example of something that comes along with being a UB student.
Yes.
So by all means take advantage of it and be thinking about your physical health as well. I think oftentimes when we get into stressful situations, that's the first thing that goes, is you're not thinking about taking care of yourself. And so if you want to be kind of mentally fit, so to speak, your body's got to go along with you there. And so be thinking about taking care of your entire self, because there's a lot of science that says to be at your peak conditioning, whether it be academically, in terms of cognitively, that thinking about your physical wealth or physical health is important too, but physical health helps a great deal, so please be thinking about that. I was actually up there with UB yesterday, the mascot, walking them around, and got to see a bunch of students taking advantage of the UB Olympics. So.
Yes.
And freshmen, newbies, if you haven't figured out by now, we talk a lot about the elevators and different floors. There's a north and there's a south side. So when you are trying to get to the gym, it is only the first elevator that's when the ramp side. If you go to the other elevator that you normally use for classes, I think that is considered the north side possibly. And the elevator does not go to that floor. So I'm not too sure if you've had the elevator experience yet. Of finding out that the elevator doesn't go to all the floors. So just a little plug in to let you know that the elevator is And it doesn't go to your 4-4 classes. I'm sure a lot of you have figured it out by now. But the elevator is the only one that allows you to get to the gym, the one that's right by the ramp.
And if you have like any questions about the competitive sports, there are like signs in the gym, but you can just speak to Mark Comer, and that's M Comer COMER at uball.edu, and you can ask.
Just throwing his info out there.
Oh, so
his email's gonna
blow
up.
up, but you definitely can talk to him about competitive sports, or you can ask any one of the workers who work in the gym or the supervisors that you see. They're in blue and black shirts.
Tell him Tisha sent you.
Yeah.
She did it.
Yeah. So email me like, Tisha, what did you do?
So we're going to jump back to the academic side of things. So we've talked a lot about the importance of the advisor and all the things that they can do for you. And so obviously first years should have already been meeting with their advisors, or transfer students coming in, or current students should always be meeting with them too. And so in the event you need to, how do you go about making an appointment with your advisor?
Email. Some of them have office hours. Email them, find out their office hours, or you should have met with them already, like Kevin said, so you should know what their email, what their office hours are, so just email.
Right.
When in doubt, just email about any questions that you have. I mean, just, even some of the things that we're talking about now, I mean, just ask your advisor. They're there for to advise you, to make and guide you in the decisions that you need to make, so definitely use your advisor. But email, usually they respond within 24 hours to
48 hours. But first of all, knowing who your advisor is, so knowing which program, and like calling the office and verifying that that's your advisor, and getting on their schedule so you can meet them face to face. I mean, email is totally important, but that face to face, you want that to be the initial like visit, or like if you're a transfer. I was a transfer, so we did like emails because of the snow and everything. But as soon as I got on campus, I went to her office and I talked to her. So make sure you actually meet your advisor face to face and know who they are, because they are vital in your academic success, and they will help you. Because everything on the website, it may seem clear, like with graduation requirements, but knowing who your advisor is and just talking to them, and then knowing how to do the process on your own as well is very helpful.
That's good. One of the most useful resources that UB students have now, which is a fairly new thing, is a program called Degree Audit. It's in your My UB.
Yes,
and it's honestly, it's an amazing resource.
It is.
Because if you go along with the checklist that your advisor has provided to you, and go on there and shop around for when you're ready to register for classes, shop around in Degree Audit. It's going to tell you exactly what you need to do for your next steps, even if there are prereqs involved. It's going to tell you which courses will help you, move through to the next steps in your degree. It's a great resource. So get to know that. Go in now and browse around and see what it's telling you need to get ready. So when you come for your spring early registration appointment in November, you'll have a better idea of what you want the advisor to help you do. The last thing I would say, I know sometimes our advisors would send emails out, reminder emails, deadline emails, that kind of thing to students. And we always send those emails to your UBALT email account. You can go into that UBALT account if you don't want to be checking that every time. And you can set it up to forward emails to whatever account you would rather use. But I still recommend that you check your UBALT email account a couple of times a week. Just keep up in there, because that's the main way that the university is going to use to stay in touch with you. So if you want to keep abreast of opportunities or reminders or deadlines that you don't want to miss, the UBALT email account is the best way to do that.
Right.
Well, and there's a couple of things that come with that email account that are super helpful too. If you're somebody who likes to manage your calendar online, it comes with a calendar that you can sync up to your phone, so you can be managing your different appointments or different classes that way. It also gives you access to an address book, so if you need to try to find somebody's email address and you don't know, if you at least know their name, you can type it in and then click check names and it'll pop them right up. That way it kind of gives you even more access to folks and different resources. I'm going to ask somebody behind the camera to give a click to our iPad here, because there's something that's kind of inhibiting our view momentarily here. But as that's going on, we talked a bit about advisors, and so I'm going to bring up something that might be a tad scary, considering that it's the first week of classes that we're wrapping up on. But just because they're there, we need to be thinking about them. So midterms and finals are coming eventually here, and so when are they specifically, and then also just around the panel, how do you go about preparing for them, and maybe how are they different than past ones that you've experienced, having come to UB and now experienced those as well?
Midterms are, again, that's one of the things you go over for your first day. Your classroom housekeeping is on your syllabus. Again, your guide to class. And you can look on there and find out in advance if your class requires a midterm. If not, if it's a paper running, again, it would go per your advisor. So you can always find out when that is. I'm not too sure midterm.
Midterm grades will do?
Around.
I can look it up.
Okay.
I think. Give me a second here.
One of the things as we're talking about, looking at one of the things that's important about your portal and finding out about your midterms is when you do look into your portal, you can go into where it says grades after we find out what the date midterm grades to do, and you can actually see whether how you did in your class doing midterms. It lets you know if you're passing, if you need to speak to your professor about anything, if you're failing, or if you're not up to class standards. So that's a good time to meet with your professor and find out what's needed of you, and that's going to be under your grades and then midterms once you find out the date of midterms are due. But for me, I kind of started studying from day one. Every note that I take in class is preparing me for midterms. Every classroom attendance I show up to, I'm prepared for midterms if I have them. And I study with groups. I study with people. I do Google Docs. We get together and we do a little Google thing and we put notes on there and we go back and forth. We share pictures again if someone missed a class. We kind of work as far as that's concerned. We have Facebook groups for some of my classes. We just kind of network because everyone's busy and we can't just always have that time to meet. And for me, being a grad student, we meet in class until 11 p.m. And I'm not studying with anyone after sitting in class till 11 p.m. So definitely, I do my peer support. I study with people. My notes are what I use for studying from day one, taking good notes and going over them, not just waiting until midterm. Make sure I understand everything as I'm going through it. And that's pretty much how I prepare for my midterms.
Cool. I know, for me, I'll have you start from day one, but for me it's just midterms are next week. Don't be like that though. But if you are procrastination, it happens. But knowing that midterms is not the final say end all, but you want to do well, and knowing that if you only had one assignment before midterms and you didn't do so well, you have right after you get your midterm grade, all the way till you get your final grade, to get the help you need, to visit the ALC, to talk to your professor, and also if you're going through a stressful time, to communicate that, or find someone who who you're comfortable with to talk to about that, because maybe the one thing that you need to be successful in your class is to just talk to someone. Mm-hmm. Maybe you just need to get it off your chest. So knowing that there are resources here, counseling services and stress relief events that happen during midterms and finals, but just knowing that if you study in a way that only you know how, then do what works for you. Yeah. There are different learning styles, there are different study habits, and knowing what you're best at is what's going to work for you. You can't do what everyone else does, but think about yourself, because this is your grade. Mm-hmm. So just always communicate. Just always do that, and knowing that midterms, when you see them, get ready for the final. And if you know that you're having a really good, going to have a hard time, don't be afraid to say that even before midterms happen, because that's totally okay.
Yeah, like I said, definitely go to the ALC, start getting help, and it's workshops that's going on. The Counseling Center also have workshops that help you prepare with de-stressing and planning and management. We talk about the Counseling Center, and the first thing people think is, I don't have a mental problem, or I don't have any, stresses in my life. They're also great with planning, with just helping you reach your goal. The goal can be that I want to graduate, and so that's what your goal is, and what we have to do to work towards. 12 sessions you get to work towards. What do I need to do to graduate? So the goal can be, I want to get a GPA of 3.7. Again, that's your goal. So it's not just health related, stress related, mental related. You can go there to just talk and just plan and just have someone that is confidential. There's things that's going on in your life that you want to talk about that might be in the way of your midterms. Exactly. And and again, that's when talking to your advisor and these things that you can predict it, you can prevent it. If you know that, something is going on around that time that midterms is coming up, if you had surgery, if you were sick, someone in your family, just anything, car problems, you can't get off work, I mean, whatever it might be, you don't test well, and those things are important as well. And if you're a person that doesn't test well and you do have to plug this one in, the CEA, you have anxiety issues, anything, you have a documented disability, the CEA is there to help you. Some of the offices and accommodations. Here we go, these acronyms. CEA is a Center for Educational Access, it used to be called Disability Support, but that's what it's called now, and they are there to help anyone with a documented disability. And it could be short-term or long-term. So if you just happen to break your leg during the semester, that's a temporary disability. You can definitely have a doctor's note to say that you're going to need some type of accommodations, whether it's sitting in the front of the classroom or sitting in the back. Again, with testing anxiety, if you know that you have these issues and you've had accommodations in high school, which is pretty common to have those IEP, you can bring that to the CA and make an intake appointment. And some of the accommodations you will get are extended test time, testing in a separate room, so low distraction testing areas, and it's just a great support system. So between the CEA and the counseling center, your advisor, your professor, there is no reason why you can't achieve that goal and maintain a GPA and do what needs to be done to get help. It's resources, the doors are always open. I've never walked to a door that's been closed, unless it was after hours, of course. But it's always someone to help you. I mean, people come into my office asking me for everything every day. There's been times I've got out my seat and walked them to the location they needed to be. We're always here to help. I mean, students, if you see a name tag, don't be afraid to ask somebody. If you see a UB staff, which I think is yellow or green, card hanging around someone's neck, don't be afraid to ask UB staff. They are awesome, 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 and I wouldn't be where I am first year grad student if it wasn't for UB support system. I would definitely say that I am an alumni because I graduated in spring, and I love UB that much that I came back to do my grad. Most people seek outside for their graduate. They don't go to the same school because they want a different experience. But I love my experience here so much. There was no other place I wanted to be but UB. So as an alumni, I'm right back here, because all these resources, students, and great people really helped me to be where I am today.
So we are running low on time, so I think we're going to hit one last question. I want to make sure we hit it because according to what I've been told, this has been one of the most common questions asked this week. And so the question is, how do you go about logging into UB Wireless? Because it seems like a lot of people have been having a challenge with that this week, and so I want to make sure we hit on that, but then we'll go ahead and wrap up.
Okay, well, I'm gonna wrap up a little bit early. They're gonna sit here and help you guys. If you see me around campus, I'm here all the time. Please come up, say hi, speak to me, say you're the girl from the video, orientation video. I've seen you around. I'm an OL leader. Just anything, I'm here. Don't be afraid to stop me. And they're gonna take the rest of the panel. It was great talking to everyone. Y'all have a great day.
Round of applause for Katana.
Insert applause. Okay, for the UB wireless network. Okay, so when you go in your settings, iPhone, Android, anything, and you go to Wi-Fi, so it's two. You have UB Guest, which if you do UB Guest, you just have to have your Net ID and your password. You have to do that every single time you come on campus. But UB Secure is the one you want to log on to, and all you need again is just your Net ID and your password, and that will have you logged on every single time you come on campus. You don't have to log in every day because it's going to be set. So UB Secure is the network you want to log into. So all you need to do is your Net ID and your password, the same thing you use to log into your portal.
Okay, so we're going to wrap up now, but the last thing I'm going to have everybody around the room answer, and I'm going to ask the folks even behind the camera to answer this, and they can either write it in or if they want to chime in, by all means. If there is one last message you want to leave first-year students or those folks watching, transfer students, anybody who is watching this right now, if there's a message you want to leave them with as they are transitioning and trying to be successful this semester, what do you want it to be? Didn't have to be you first. You just happened to be on my
I know. This is like, just have fun. This is the time to have fun. This is the time to make mistakes. Don't be afraid to fail. You will learn so much, and you will be a success. Don't let anyone tell you that you're not going to be a success, because you will be here. Oh, you will be here at UB. Oh, snap. There you go.
Coming to a billboard near you.
Yeah.
I have one.
Yes.
I think when you first get here especially, it can seem like to get a college degree, there are so many requirements. There are like major requirements, there's prereq requirements, and there are deadlines, exams, all this kind of thing. But I think that one of the best things you can do to be really successful and to get the most valuable degree is to look at all the things that you do on a voluntary basis, the things that are optional. For example, you go to a class, you don't actually have to take notes, and you don't have to do, you know, sort of the SQ 3-hour, whatever they taught you in 11th grade was the best present. You don't have to do those things, right? Even taking notes itself is probably optional. But if you take good notes in a way that works for you, if you review those notes generally, if you do a volunteer internship, if you participate as a volunteer in a student organization, if you have a study buddy session now and again, if you go to office hours with your professor, those things are all free. They take a little bit of time, that none of them is required for you to do. But if you do those things, you're going to be more successful. Like, we have really high expectations here at UB. Our degrees are really valuable. They're worth something locally and nationally. Mm-hmm. So, you know, if you want to really meet those expectations in the way that we know you can, taking on as many of those optional activities as possible is going to give you the best possible degree.
Yes. For myself personally, I'm going to say don't be scared to discover yourself. For me, college was an incredible opportunity. It was the first time where I really looked at myself as a leader and got to become one in a number of different student leadership roles, and that's kind of why I'm here now. And so take advantage of those opportunities. Go to an event. If you're partially interested, or if you're somebody who loves comedians or concerts or things, get involved in SEB, get involved in different things, because you will be amazed the amount you learn about yourself. We have a Strengths Quest indicator, and so that's another thing that you can take advantage of. All first-year seminars are going to be taking it, but you can also just email Strengths at UB, and you can get a free opportunity to take that once during your time here, and so take advantage of that as well. The most important thing, and this is coming from off the screen, but I think everybody on this panel has said it before, is you're not alone here. We are all invested in seeing you succeed, and so never feel alone, and if you do, talk to someone. On that note, we've talked about a myriad of resources today, your faculty, your advisors, OLs, the Dean of Students Office. And so one last one to throw out there, if you're not hitting that on anything else, is you can always email transitions at ubalt.edu. That's our office, the Transitions and Community Engagement Office, and we work with orientation and commencement, so we have an investment in seeing you start and an investment to get you to the end, and so that's another resource. So thank you so much for tuning in. We are incredibly excited to have you, and we're incredibly excited about this year. Yes. Thanks for joining us. This is going to live on our Facebook group for a while, so if you see it, you can watch the whole thing. I'm telling you at the end of this, so you probably aren't going to see this at that point. But thanks for joining us, and hopefully you learned something. Woo.
See ya.
Brilliant idea. This was
Great job, guys.
So great, yeah.
Ooh,
Good job, Eden.